Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Young on Scrum with me, Samuel Baines, and my co-host, Simon Foll. And today we've got a guest who is a legend embedded into the Prem. He's got his name carved into the list of men who will go down in history in the rugby world. Please welcome Alex Waller. Hello, Alex.
Hey,
How are
guys,
you?
you're all
Simon, you okay? How's it going?
Very well, thank you, young man. I'm all good. Sat in my garage.
We've had a lot going on in the rugby world this week. You know, despite the Prem not being on because of obviously it's the off season, we've still had a bit of Lions, a bit of Sevens. So I'm going to jump into this. Let's just introduce Alex quickly to the people who have lived under a rock for the last, 15 years, as to who this man is. You know, I think you've got a Saints career that's older than me, quite possibly. How old is your Saints career now, Alex?
This is my 14th preseason, so
yes, you are. Your career is older than me.
Yeah, that's embarrassing. Yeah, that makes you feel good. Cheers, mate.
14 years of pre-season. Tell me this: is it getting any easier, fella, or are they getting harder each year?
They're getting much more specific. Back in the day, when I first started, there was a lot of just long runs, mental strength, sort of testing the boundaries. Now it's much more specific to rugby and a little bit more science rather than just flogging yourself, which it has its place, and I think it benefits people when they have to go to the dark place and find where their limits are. But overall, if you do that every day, you just end up breaking. So,
mate, we had some horrific pre-season bleep tests, which just destroy you bigger lads. It was never any good for you lot. He'll run in and, mate, like you say, just to break everybody and then slowly put them back together before the season. But I'm glad to hear there's a bit of science to it now. And
yeah there is. Yeah,
still, it's never easy, mate. Is it? Can't be easy.
No, never easy, mate. But I know how to sort of get through it now. I know how to get the body right each day, and it's getting harder and harder each year. But plenty of ice baths, plenty of massages, plenty of bits of gizmos and gadgets to try and get you through. And generally, the body's feeling all right. Touch wood. At the moment, we're only in week 2 though.
How's Dad? He's signed up for another year, which is fantastic. Good to see. Time I thought he was going to come and work with me up at the woodyard, but he's turned me down again. How's he coping? Is he coming through all right?
Yeah, Woody's Woody's like. He's flat out, so he's pushing himself, challenging. He's trying to beat all these young fellas, and he's the thing is he generally does. So he's a great example to have at the club and for young lads to learn from, and sort of see what it takes to be a professional, to have the career he's had. Is a good learning ability, and what he did on the pitch last year speaks volumes, and that's why he signed again for another year. 45 years old.
He's a top boy, I must admit. We like him. He can get grumpy when he's cutting down trees and we're not working hard enough. But apart from that, he does. He had a great, wonderful season. Probably COVID did him a favour, if anything, because it gave him a chance to recuperate and probably yourself a little bit. So yeah,
absolutely.
Look forward to the next season.
Yeah, he gets real grumpy when you break his chipper as well, doesn't he? Oh, yeah.
When we break it, we don't load it properly.
That went down like a lead balloon.
Life must be hilarious. Alex, I hear that you now run a pizza business as well. Slice Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll go into that a little bit. Me and my brother. See, to be honest, that's my brother's baby, really. I've done the bare minimum work. I'm more of a financial backer than I am a participant in that. Mainly because it's not through lack of willing. It's based in Worcester, and obviously I've got 2 kids, and Beef takes care of that in Worcester. But he's actually just opened a restaurant in Worcester for anyone who's listening who's a Worcester fan. It's called Sanger's, the deli sandwich shop and pizza shop in the evening. It's really nice actually. I sampled it the other week and I can give it my approval. Yeah, so there's a couple of things. You keep busy, try and keep busy away from rugby. So I've got that, and me and him actually own a small property company as well. So that's the other thing, because rugby's a short career, and I'm definitely towards the end of it. So
Yeah, I follow you on Instagram. I'm either seeing stuff about sandwiches and pizzas, or working on the wood, or working with the wood. You know, making lovely chopping boards. I think I've actually got one in my cupboard. If we move more into the season, what's the mentality like going into it out of this pre-season? Because it sounds like they're beasting you in pre-season. How is that making you get ready mentally? How are you feeling? You ready to go in there, smash some stuff up next season, or yeah?
Yeah, always raring to go, mate. Pre-seasons, I enjoy pre-season. It's the time to get the body right and set yourself up, give yourself a base layer for the season physically and mentally as well. Introduce the new lads and work together and try and build something, because I think we've got a great talent pool in the squad and we've got some really good players. So generally, I think we could do something really special this year, but only if we're on form. So you look at the Premiership now and the way it is. You know, there's not a massive gap like there used to be 10 years ago between the bottom and the top. You know, everyone can beat everyone on their day, and it sounds cliche, doesn't it? But the league now is so tight, and even, you know, Worcester finished bottom of the league last year, but they've made some brilliant signings. They've got the two Lions boys coming in, and they've got rid of 20 odd players, but they have to fill them, and they're filling them with some pretty decent signings. So, you know, even teams that you might have thought were written off last season will be dangerous this year. So we can't afford to take our foot off the gas, and that's the thing now. With the league, there's just no off weeks in terms of games, and that you can maybe blood some, you know, a younger squad, or it generally has to be full bore every week. So it's testing, and if we can keep the mentality and switched on throughout the season and be consistent, then I think we'll be top four easily. But if we don't, it only takes one slip up and then you're in eighth without realising it. So it's a tough league at the moment.
It was a good season last year. From the first game was awful, kicking duel, and I thought, oh God, we're in for an awful season. And then the season erupted, and you know, the finish of it. You know, Harlequins, are they're not a one season trick, are they? Do you think they're here to stay at that sort of level, or have they peaked, and do you think they can come back next year and do the same again?
I think they're a dangerous side. That's obviously just they've just signed a new DOR as well, so he'll bring his aspect in. But I think they had been class, and they for the last 6 months climbing up the table and dominating everything really. And that momentum is hard to continue into the next season. You know, I've been a part of that with Northampton in the early years. Obviously, after we won it, and then you have to sort of back it up, and mentally and physically, it takes a lot of energy to do that. So. And like I said, the league now at the moment is so competitive. So it'll be interesting to see. But they're always one that that can beat you on their day. They've always been a fantastic team that play a lot of rugby and pretty open, offloading game the last 6 months. So it seems to be playing into the hands of the way people want rugby to be played. So coming in straight away in the summer as well, that'll favour that. So they could climb up the table pretty quickly in the early starts of the season. When it gets muddy and slow, then, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, that's the one that's the difference, isn't it? But I mean, just look around the Prem now. There aren't not many dodgy pitches, is there? They're all the grounds I've been seeing. They've got their act together. They had the worst one I think I witnessed was Sandy Park down at Exeter, when you destroyed them down there and charged down the kick in the last minute. You know, that pitch pretty much cut up bad. I haven't seen it anywhere else.
No, that was pretty miserable, mate. It stank as well. That was something you couldn't really get on the telly, obviously. But yeah, that was pretty miserable. I think they'd had some flooding, so the groundsmen were obviously working double time. But there's only so much you can do. They're not miracle workers, are they? So that's pretty muddy, pretty miserable, pretty old school. So I don't mind a bit of that.
How do you find the plastic pitches? Is that your forte, or would you rather play on grass?
I'd rather play on grass. I'm not massively opposed to them, but I think there's some research that shows that there's more injuries on them I ruptured my Achilles on a plastic pitch, so I've got a little bit of a sore spot there for them. But they're all right. They're few and far between. I think there's 4 in the league at the moment. So I feel sorry for the lads that have to train and play on them every day. That'd be miserable. But once every month or so isn't too bad.
I play at Bedford Blues Juniors, and they've got a 4G pitch. I'm very opposed to it. Don't like it. Horrible, cuts you, does nasty things, and it allows for those dark arts in that scrum to just become a little bit darker. And you see them using it in different ways. If we talk a bit about the dark arts, have you been watching Lions recently, Alex? There's a bit of dark arts there.
Yeah, I didn't manage to watch the first test actually. I was had the kids and I was away, so but I've seen the highlights, mate, and I've heard all the stories and whatever's just come out as well with the video of that was the talk of the town today, that the referee analysis video that's an hour long on social media. So I think it's a bit of gamesmanship. There's a bit of building some pressure via the media and it's all good fun. I think it's all a bit pantomime in the grand scheme of things. And you got to ask the question: is he going to do that for every game from now on, or is it just the one? Or would he have done it if they'd have won? It's one of those. But I think the Lions is a great thing for rugby, and it's a shame, obviously, that the fans can't go out there at the moment. And it must be, having played in empty stadiums all last season, well, for the majority of last season, I can't imagine how sort of dead it is to play that big of an international game with nobody involved. It's a pinnacle of those lads' careers, and there's nobody there, which is a bit of a shame. But it's the world we're in at the moment, isn't it? So, I think that's.
I think it's such a shame for some of those guys probably never get to go on another one, and it'll always kind of be remembered for the COVID tour. And if we do go on and win it, South Africa will say, well, we had COVID and the squad was struck by. There'll always be a South African excuse, I feel, which will take the shine off it. But while we're on the Lions, you've seen the highlights. Your teammate there, Courtney, he's a man of few words in corporate and socially, to us lot. But what's he like as a fella? He seems so laid back, nothing phases him. He had a massive smile on his face after the game, and mate, what a performance! I'd have given him. I'm biased, I know, but all right, I told you got some turnovers, but Courtney was immense, mate. He was awesome.
Yeah, how good's he been actually this last couple of years? He just seems to be getting better with age. It's like a fine wine. But yeah, off the pitch, mate, Courts, obviously, I'm very close to Courts. I've been playing rugby with Courts since I was 14, 15 years old. So we've been in the same team for a long time. We're godfathers to each other's kids, and we've been together through thick and thin. But he's a great character. He like you say, man, a few words, even around the club behind the scenes. But when he does speak, people sit up and listen. And he's really sort of grown into that leadership role the last couple of seasons. He's good. He's a real help for me. And I'm sure it's the same internationally. Just to be a voice of reason and a different and a shoulder to lean on and bounce ideas off. And he's seen some different perspectives. But he is the most chilled out man in the world. Like I remember we always roomed together, or we did until I was captain. Captain man gets his own room, which is one of the privileges. But we always roomed together, and he'd always just have room service, sit there, chill out. We called it mission control. He'd have his laptop, his iPad, music going. He'd had the thermostat up to 25 degrees in the room. It'd just be like this hum of like computer fans going, music on, headphones on one ear, out the other. And he'd just chill like that for all evening. And I'm like, do you want to come should we go for a swim or anything? He's like, nah, bro, just going to chill out here. I'm like, all right. But it works for him. He comes out MOM every week, so.
Still living his teenage years.
Hey,
Great.
I remember I listened to Haskell's book. He said the same thing. He just gets in his room, puts his headphone on. You hardly know he's there. But like you say, maybe 5 minutes late for a team meeting. And then like you say, goes on the pitch and wow, good on him. Yeah, what a great guy. And yeah, I'm so pleased for him that he never started a Lions test. When they rested him for 2 weeks, I thought, oh no, he's not going to make it. But they rested him for a reason, and crikey, it paid off.
So Alex, we talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry,
mate. Yeah.
we talk
Well, I
about.
was just going to say, like, we're just on courts there. You've got to look at how good he's been, and he's now on his second Lions tour in a different position. He was obviously a second row Lion, and now he's obviously a back row Lion. And to be able to change, it's usually the other way. So I'm sure you usually go back row to second row, don't you? But he's managed to do it in reverse. He's like Benjamin Button. He's got out the cold face. He's leaning on the edge of the scrum now. I'm hoping he'll be playing 10 in 5 years if that's the way it goes.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the way forward for
you. Yeah.
We talk about Courtney's captaincy. Alex, you've played with some great captains. You're an outstanding captain at Saints. You are literally the embodiment of a club man. I was talking to Martin Hines a little while ago, and he described you as the ultimate club man. He was singing your praises for, I think, 40 minutes on that episode. What's it like captaining a team like that, Captain Saints? A team with so much history, so much passion, a town behind it. Is it such a buzz of emotion? Is it kind of like ecstasy in the blood, or is it a bit more pressurey?
There's all of that, mate. There's all of that combined and especially on a match day. So being captain, match day is probably your easiest day. I know it sounds counterproductive. You have to do your role. Biggs looks after the backs, what we're going to do with the 10s. I'm basically a puppet master, if you imagine, on the pitch, just trying to calm everyone down if things go wrong or talk to. Biggs will talk most of the time. Courts will speak, or ribeye in terms of lineouts. I'll just try and tie it all together. And sometimes me speaking is just wasting breath. I generally won't speak too much if I don't need to. But and I just have to build a relationship with the ref. That's your only job really on the weekend as a captain. It's just to try and win the ref over and keep that relationship sweet. And then, like I say, steady the ship if stuff goes south. And that's sort of what experience brings you. And because I've been through most things in rugby now, along with Woody and Courts and Biggs as well on the pitch. It's pretty handy to have those sort of names to lean on and bounce ideas off. And the toughest bit is Monday to Friday. It's just working with the lads, keeping standards high, training, getting things through, and because everyone has a tendency to slip off with standards, especially if you're doing the same thing day in, day out, and coming in, it just becomes a little bit monotonous. And trying to keep things exciting and move, not just me, along with the coaches, senior player groups, obviously Luds as well. It's been co-captain with me last year, so yeah, it's real privilege to captain the squad, and especially a squad with some of the names and players in it at the moment. It's a real privilege to lead those lads, and there's definitely pressure, but I think you've got to sort of part that, especially at the weekends, and you're in the job for a reason. And then, to be honest, it's watching. I started watching the club sort of when I was your age, Sam. So I was lucky enough to get to play with some of the players that I watched. Bruce Rehanas, obviously a very young, fresh-faced Dylan Hartley, those sort of guys. Watching them come through and then get to be able to get in the mix with them was pretty special. And now to be able to captain lads, the British and Irish Lions and England International, Samoan, Tongan, we've got them all at the club. So it's a massive honour, mate, to be honest. And when Bordy asked me, I was taken aback a bit, but massive privilege, almost bit his hand off to say yes. So yeah, mate, really enjoying it.
So I've got a question about that. Go on, Foley. You've played captain, unlike me. So
go ahead. No, go ahead. You do your question.
So how is it working for the next captain? Do you guys have an idea who the captain is after Luds, after you? Are you already starting to kind of groom for the next captain to see who it is, or is that something that's left more down to fate and time in the future?
I think those things will come to the surface on their own, mate. I think you can help lads out as much as you can in terms of just trying, because you want leaders over the pitch, all over the pitch regardless. If you can have a team of leaders, then that's brilliant. As long as people know who's in charge at the time, or what time it is to control. And I've been fortunate enough to spend a little bit of time with some pretty elite military groups, and one of their things obviously is the hierarchy in the military with rank and stuff, but the front man essentially is the boss, because he's the one with all the information. So I might have my head in a scrum, Biggs can see everything, it's his choice, his call, etc. So those things will come to the surface, and we've got a real young squad at the moment. which is starting to mature quite nicely. So you got your likes, your Alex Coles, your Ollie Slightholmes, your George Furbanks, these young internationals, Paul Hill, these lads coming through, and they've got a lot of rugby under their belts now. A lot of them are 100 cappers, 50 cappers. So we're starting to build some real good experience, and the sooner those boys can take responsibility, which is really happening now. I think Colsey operates the line out brilliantly when Ribey's away. And so there's definitely characters emerging, but that'll come through naturally. If you push it, I think you get boys who want to, maybe, and I'm not saying that it's happening at the club, that maybe want the title with it, and maybe will say what's needed to be said and wants to be said. But generally, the natural leaders will just come to the surface, mate, and then you'll see who the natural leaders are when the metaphorical poo hits the fan. That's when you see the lads step up.
So Simon, is that the same as how it's done back in your day? Because Alex is obviously saying there, when it hits the fan, that's when you see who has got what it takes to be that leader.
That's when you need. I always found it. I've played under a couple, but the one that sticks out to me was Tim Rodber. I played under him, and he's very much, as Alex, as well says, he's the archetypal captain, the Sandhurst trained army captain who led by example, and you do as I say. When we went out on a social, everybody had to go. That was the way he's led. Wasn't particularly empathetic towards people, set very high standards, and then the old guard moved, and Lammy came in, who was a different character, different motivational, like he was on your side, but both of them, as Wal says, when it hits the fan, you look to your captain, and they're normally doing something to inspire you, and think, they're not going to take a backward step. I remember we did a course down at Sandhurst with the squad, and we ended up going up on the high rope, and it was bloody high, and you're going across a thin rope, and you got a rope above your head. And we were all clipped on, because if you fell, you're going to. Brothers got up there, wanted to clip on, and the young squaddy said, "Excuse me, sir, captains don't clip," as if to say, you've done your Sandhurst training, you never clipped on when you're here. And Rodders unclipped his safety harness and did the walk across, and we were like, "Wow, this guy is, it's not all hot air and bluster." He was prepared to do that thing across there to show us that, he was a captain in the army, done his training, and we just had utter admiration for him. That night we all went out and got completely drunk with the army boys, and next morning, Rodders was up 6:30. He did the run with what those boys did. Most of us lounged around in bed. He was up, washed, shaved, dressed, done his run, and little things like that were, that's what you call motivational, and that's how I experienced it. And fair play to both of them. I've got ultimate admiration for both sorts of captains. You either get the Tim Rodber army, or you get the Pat Lam, the motivational, as he is now. You see Lammy on the TV, fantastic orator, talks well, brings the best out in that team. It's I always found, a captain as like you say, he let you know when you've done well, and then not afraid to tell you when you've done wrong, and that's what builds a team spirit and an ethic. So just one thing on the Saints, Al. Bad news this week. Obviously, been reading the press that young Harry's going off to pastures new to Japan. Such a shame, because that boy's had to work really incredibly hard in everything he's done. With his dad being there, he would have had to work twice as hard as anyone, and been blighted by injury. But it'll be a sad loss for you, will he?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Not just on the pitch either. Off the pitch, he's a great character to have around the squad, and also, he put a lot of time and effort into the Saints Foundation, helping people less fortunate than him in the time where he was injured, and could have quite rightly so gone within himself and just focused on himself and getting back fit. And he definitely did that, but he obviously gave up his time to help those people out and those young people out. And it'll be a great loss on and off the pitch, but hopefully he goes to Japan. He has a great stint over there. gets the body right, gets himself squared away, and then obviously from what I'm reading, we've got first refusal of him coming back. So hopefully we see him back in Saints colours again as a a fit, healthy Harry who's got 2 years of top tier Japan rugby under his belt. Probably good at making a bit of sushi and learned a bit of a new culture, and comes back a better man and better player. So not that he wasn't already, but I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes over there, and we all wish him well at the club, and hopefully we see him back pretty soon.
I've got the utmost respect for Harry Mallender. One of my mates wasn't in a good place. He went through the foundation. He's doing very well now, and I think it's amazing what he did. Looking at some of the Japanese rugby, and let's look at Japan. Something's happened in Tokyo this week. England have come fourth to the Olympics. Foley, I know that you're a sevens man. What's the difference between sevens and 15s culturally?
Culturally, probably not a lot. A lot of young players back in my day made it on the 17 and made it onto the 15s, where now you can have out and out seven specialists. I only like the sevens because it always had great tours. We've been all over the world playing sevens, and yeah, fantastic. I was lucky because being a second row stroke back row, I had a reasonably good engine on me, so I could run a bit. I love sevens. It was a different. It is a bit different to 15s in many ways, but yeah, great. Any young player aspiring to travel the world, and sevens is your way forward. It's a fantastic career they get, and they're usually released in plenty of time to carry on and play the 15s mode. So yeah, shame about England coming fourth. That'll be that's not the end of the world. They'd have had a great time out there. It's not built for us over there in the heat and the humidity that they've been playing with. It would be killing them.
Alex, do you ever fancy his career?
No. I'll run water and be chief of socials, but that's about it.
Alex, I need to know something. I'm a young player. I'd like to say that I'm hardworking at least. I don't know if all my coaches will agree, but I'll say that I am. And I know a lot of lads who I've told them they've been eager, want to know, especially all the front rowers. What are your tips for young players?
That's a good question, mate. I think hard work underpins everything, mate. I think you can get a long way on working hard, and I definitely have. I've played with a lot of players that are throughout the age groups coming through. They're a lot more talented than me, a lot more, highly rated than me. They've got all the people that press, not press necessarily behind them. There's a bit of hype around them and this, and I was never that player, and that's fine. But what I was willing to do is do the hard work and miss out, sacrifice going out on the beers, sacrifice, parties and stuff, because it's tough at that age at 16, 17, 18 when you really need to start to take it seriously. Is what you're going to do. If you want to do this? And I was speaking to a lad the other day actually who rang me up and asked me for some help because he was going to uni and he wanted to play pro, and he said, what should I do? And I was like, you've always got to be ready, mate. If you want to do this job, but for me, I was sacked at 18 from the club. I didn't get a contract at 18. I was sacked. And I went away for a year, and Rob Hunter was the academy coach at the time. He's now Exeter's forwards coach. I just pestered him every week, mate, to be honest. I think he gave me a contract to shut me up eventually. But I'd go away and I'd just work hard, mate. Every week I'd be in the gym, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in the gym, Friday, rest a little bit. Saturday I'd play for a National 3 team just to get some men's rugby at that time, repeat. And I'd just text Rob every week. And eventually be like, I'll come and have 5 minutes for the Wanderers then, mate, because, Barry Stewart had gone down or something, and then I'd have 5 minutes, and then I'd be brilliant. I'm in the door, just get your foot in the door and keep working. But hard work underpins everything, mate, and the ability to learn, be coachable. That's the thing. Like, people can get stuck in their ways, but if you're open to learning and being willing to learn and willing to put hard work yards in, then that's fine. It's a bit of fun and joking, but I'll text the young procs when I'm in at 7 in the morning. Like, mainly, yeah, okay, I'm up at 5 because my kids are up, but like, I'll text them when I'm in the gym in a pool of sweat at 7 a.m. and go, what are you up to? You're sleeping. I can see on his WhatsApp, like, last awake at 11:30 at night. I'm like, you're sleeping, mate. I'm training. What are you doing? What are you doing to beat me? Like, I'm 31, But it's a little bit of jest in it, and I just want him to have that standard. And there's a couple of boys that have got bright futures there that I'm just trying to drag in the right direction. And one of them will have my shirt off me at some point, I'm sure. So, but as long as they work hard, and they've got to work harder than me to get it. So, and if they do, fair play to them.
You've just opened a whole can of beans. So you literally texted the forwards coach every week.
Yeah.
For a year.
Yeah. I told you, at 18, it was all I wanted to do. My backup plan, I was like, I'll give myself a year. I was living at home. Give myself a year. I'll throw everything into this, compete, do everything I can to get my foot in the door. And then if not, my backup, I was going to join the military anyway when I was 16, but I didn't. I broke my leg and I couldn't join. So I always thought, right, not my backup is like it's easy, because it's not. And the boys that do it are nails. But that was my fail safe. I was like, I could always apply and join the military. If that doesn't work, I don't know, be a chippy, right? But we'll do something. But like,
don't work for me.
Exactly, yeah. Happy days. And I spend enough time at the yard anyway, so it's. But that was, mate. I just threw my eggs all in that one basket. I obviously had been involved with the Saints, so I sort of had an in, because I've been there until I was 18. I had Rob's number, and I thought, what's to lose, mate? What have I got to lose? He either blocks me, and then that's pretty clear. He tells me to get lost, or he just humours me, and then eventually I'm always at the front of his mind when there's a prop gone down. I'm like, we'll just get Wall in. We'll just give Wall 5 minutes here at the Wanderers at Newcastle away. Brilliant, 8-hour journey there and back on the same day. But I'm like, happy days. Get me on the bus. I'm in, and we ended up winning the A-League that year, actually, and I scored an absolute fluky try off the back of a line-out because I didn't really know what I was doing. Christian J always says my career was down to him throwing me the ball off the back of a line-out, because Dorian West at the time saw it and saw this young prop running in from outside the 22, and I was pretty sharp back in those days, and went, right, let's have a look at him, and signed my first contract the next day. So it was that is interesting, mate. It wasn't the route I'd recommend, but it taught you plenty of hard work and how to be on your own, mate, and work on your own. And I think that's a massive learning curve for a lot of young lads.
That's amazing. That is one of the pretty greatest stories into rugby. I think there's one person who's pretty got something to. There's a couple of people who've got stuff to compete with that. Some of the young lads up at the Saints, Tommy Freeman's pretty got one slightly similar about being dropped and then him being picked up at Molten. But that is, gosh, Alex, that is a story about just complete dedication, isn't it? And I think you definitely got your foot in the door, considering what you're now, 302 caps?
Something like that, yeah. I'm over 300, so I'm up there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to text Rob Hunter. He's a bit of a nose anyway, so he probably quite enjoyed text every night. No one else would speak to him. But no, Sam, I've said to you that the harder you train, the luckier you'll get, mate. And that's just what you do in life. The more you chuck at it, eventually something will stick. And yeah, you got to take your breaks. I was the same, playing for Bugbrook, played against Toaster. We got battered. I scored 3 tries, had a fight with Clive Farwell. And there was a couple of people from the Saints down there said, come and give it a go. And I'm like, no, I'm a Bugbrook boy. I'm not going down there. And my dad said, what, are you mad? And yeah, did the same, went training, was flat out last at everything, but then got an opportunity to play and boom. It is such fine lines, but things happen for a reason. And yeah, with you, Sam, your up and coming career, just you'll get knocked back. And there's a lot of good players get knocked back, and then they give up. Oh well, I could have done it, but I didn't. Because no, if you're good enough, you'll make it. Simple as that. You'll get an opportunity, and you've just got to take it. So
yeah, I think that's great. That's a great thing for everyone to hear. If you think you're good enough, you need to be putting in that effort to make sure that you are good enough. Alex, we're going to have you back because we've got 35 minutes and people only seem to listen for about 40. So I'm worried that they're going to start tuning out if we don't keep it short. I've got a long list of people to bring back, Alex, and you're definitely up there now. You're up there with the likes of James Percival on this list. So I can say that after having you on, Alex, together with the amount of people all added together, we have had over 1,000 Saints camps on the caps on here.
Impressive. That's impressive, mate.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah, you done well.
Yeah, mate. I'll happily be back on, mate. If you want any more questions, we'll work some out. No problem.
Awesome, Alex.
Yeah,
with 1,000 caps by next season.
Get the season underway, and we'll get you back on, buddy. Definitely when them cold winter nights draw in. Yeah, definitely.
Happy days, mate. I'll turn the fire on for that one.
So
I'll give some fire. I've got some firewood for you. Don't worry.
Happy days. There we go.
So we're going to unbind from the scrum, everyone. Thank you for tuning in with me, Sammy Baines, Simon Fole, and our very special guest, Alex Waller.